But also to look at another thing is the suicide rate in other countries. And so for a lot of people, they don't realise that there's a lot of countries have a high suicide rate. So the UK is kind of in the middle. It's not the largest, it's kind of one of the lowest actually, but not the lowest. So the worst place in the world for suicide rate is a place called Lesotho, which is in South Africa. And South Africa has, in per capita of 100,000 people, has a suicide rate of 72%, which is very high. So it's also then you have to look at why does that happen? So that happens because conditioning, poverty, hopelessness, loneliness, dangerous jobs, how they feel. And in the suicide rates, some of the biggest countries are in very unusual places. So Guyana is quite high, it's 40%. South Korea is 28%, and South Korea is not because of youngsters killing themselves. It's the elderly, because in Asian culture they believe that they should look after the elderly. But the trouble is, because the life has become so expensive to live, a lot of these older people believe that they don't want to burden their children. So a lot of people, when they get to retirement age, it's not unusual for them to commit suicide, so they don't burden the children. So that happens a lot. Doesn't happen in India very much. Suicide in India is quite low, but in South Korea it's very high. It's 28% per 100,000, so quite high. Lithuania is the highest in Europe at 26%, and Lithuania in Europe has the highest unemployment rate. So unemployment, also there's another thing as well that I know from Lithuanians have told me this, is that if you don't get new job within a month, if you've lost a job, they can actually put you in prison. So there's a whole system there of conditioning of that. And next to that is Russia. Russia's 25%, is quite high, and then South Africa is 23%, the whole of South Africa, but then Lesotho is the highest, which is a county, like a borough in that area.